What's shakin'? Hey, I'm Rick Jordan. Today, we're going all in. There's some things that we all do when it comes to trying to move things forward, and we think that we're on the right track with thinking these things, but they're actually doing more damage than they're doing good for us. And these are ways that, if you want to call it self-sabotage or whatever else, it's like things that we think will work well because it sounds logical. These three things sound logical when we actually try to put them into practice, but it's actually something that's not very healthy for us. And I'm going to give you these three things today because they might just be holding you back from being able to move forward with everything you've ever wanted. All right, everybody wants to give advice and everybody thinks that advice is great. You know what? There's even scripture that says, wisdom is in a multitude of counselors, and I fully believe in all of that. Heck, that's why I have a board on my company. That's why I have coaches. I wouldn't even be where I'm at today without the coaches and mentors that I've had along the way. So I always constantly submit myself to get advice from other people, but I'm very strategic on that. And there's been times in the past where I haven't been as strategic, and I thought that it was the right person to ask for the advice. But that person had absolutely no insight whatsoever that was valuable, but yet they said a lot of words, right? And really they were just giving me an opinion and pulling stuff out of thin air because it sounded good to them. Because one of the biggest things that could be holding you back right now is taking advice from people who haven't been where you want to go or who have no authority. We've all heard that one before, probably, where it's like, hey, don't take advice from people who haven't been there, right? But there's another thing to add on to that, or who have no authority, right? There's certain things because people might not have to go there, but they could have studied a lot on it. Now, there's nothing to me that beats experience in a situation, absolutely nothing. At the same time, you can have somebody who knows a lot about something just because they've consumed a lot of information, but then take it with a grain of salt because they should always preface it with, this is what I've learned from consumption of knowledge. This is what I've learned from observation of others. This is what I've learned from being able to have empirical data, which means being an onlooker to something, a witness to something. So that's maybe one of the potential caveats to this. You should never take advice from people who haven't been where you want to go or who have no authority. And let's be real about this for a second. Trigger alert, okay? You wouldn't want to take health tips from someone who's fat. Oh no, Rick said the F word. You know what? I was fat too. Okay, let's just call it what it is. Okay, and I would not have been the person that you would want to take health tips from. I mean, driving around in a geekmobile, eating at McDonald's, or getting fast food all the time, or not cooking healthy things and just eating carb, not much focus on protein, not much movement in my life, no exercise whatsoever, I would not have been the one to give you health tips. Because what you see in front of you is actually probably the truth, right? Because that's reality, not something that you're thinking, but when it's right in front of your face and you see somebody who's right there that's carrying a lot of extra weight, they're not the person to ask health tips from. Although, you know what it blows my mind is that a lot of times they'll give it, right? They're like, oh, well, I'm doing this right now. I think I'm going to lose this weight. Or, you know what? I lost 10 pounds over the past 8 years. I'm doing good. Or somebody who just says, you know what? I know what to do. And this is what you should do. When they're not doing it themselves. And you can clearly see that. You wouldn't go to a dentist who has yellow teeth, would you? That was always a thing for me. I think that dentists should have the most freaking perfect teeth in the world. Not to say they wouldn't have work done on them, right? But teeth in itself in society, having good teeth is like a sign of health. I've seen doctors, not even just dentists, but doctors who have bad teeth. And it's like, where is your attention on your own health? How am I going to take advice from you or a diagnosis from you when you got your own crap you're not paying attention to? Look at you. You sit down in the chair and then the dentist is over you and they've got the worst breath that you've ever freaking smelled. You wouldn't take that advice from that person, would you? No, of course not. So why would you do it when it comes to your business or your life choices? Ask yourself that. Why would you take advice from those kinds of people when it comes to business or life choices? People who haven't been there or people who have no authority. Stop now. Find the right mentors. Find the right people. Because anybody can only take you as far as they've been themselves. End of story. All right, the second thing that seems logical, but it's actually pretty counterintuitive, is making sure that everything is like ready to go, all set right now. Or we could call this perfectionism, right? Or having all your ducks in a row, whatever it is. What you actually think is being smart and making things perfect, trigger alert, is actually a fear of failure in disguise. You trying to make things perfect so that you can win, so that you can achieve the outcome, is actually a fear of failure in disguise. Because you're thinking that it has to be a certain way. That way you have a sure outcome that you want. There's nothing wrong with strategy. There's nothing wrong with throwing some things out there. But this is the scenario to where you could literally just be stuck in this place forever. And it could take you so long to try to do something because you want things just so. Really, that's a fear of failure. And it's a lack of trust in yourself. Those are the things that are going to keep you back, because fear of failure is paralyzing you and tricking your brain into thinking it just needs to be better before ... But in reality, you are learning nothing from having a really perfect plan. The only way you really learn things is actually by diving into those things and having to adapt when something doesn't go your way, or when there's something that you couldn't possibly anticipate, no matter how really perfect of a plan that you have. You learn nothing with perfectionism. When you do it, you actually learn things. Time keeps ticking and ticking away. So you might as well freaking start taking action and start learning. Perfectionism is slowing you down, and it's just a fear of failure in disguise. The last thing that actually seems kind of logical, right? And you've probably even heard this advice going back to people. This actually comes from pastors a lot. It really does, right? And it comes back from like scripture, and it's like, oh, wait on God. I've heard that because I grew up in the church and all of that stuff, right? And it's like, just wait on God. Well, then people end up waiting freaking forever, right? Because they're looking for some kind of sign or something like that, when actually the sign might just be that you're thinking about it for real. This is like right in your face. The sign could just be that you're thinking about it. That could be your sign to actually do something about it right now. Because waiting for the right time, just freaking do it now. You are going to miss out. You should go back and listen to a previous episode, because you are going to miss out by waiting. There's always opportunity, and opportunity has an expiration date. Opportunity has a time limit. If you have something that you're looking at right now that you want to achieve, and it's right there in front of you, and you need to make a choice, that has an expiration date on it. Just freaking do it. I know that it doesn't seem like the right time, okay, right now, but it's actually never the right time. Did you hear me on that? It's never the right time. There will always be something happening, some what if, and if it's never the right time, you ready for this? If it's never the right time, that actually means it's always the right time. Okay, so just jump up off your seat and get to it, because opportunity has an expiration date. And all of those what ifs mean that it's never the right time, but that really means that it's actually the right time right now.